It is so exciting to implement the multiplayer mode between two UGV robots in the simulator. Okay, in the previous step, we learned how we can implement the multiplayer base in our project. For now, we have a multiplayer scene with the voice chat, but with two small cartoony characters. Here we can see them. Okay, look at this. It is our character. So in this step, we want to hide some useless UI buttons. For example, these are for the microphone, these are for auto connecting, and these are for voice disconnect, PON disconnect. However, we can keep them. Yeah, it's better to keep them, but only change these UIs because we don't need to have these types of camera. We have only one camera. Right, okay. Now let us stop the game, and in here I want to save this scene inside of scenes. I call it level 3. Level 3 multiplayer. Okay, now we in this scene we have to add our UGV platform. So come here into the level 2 auto movement. Okay, now I want to add all of these objects and put it here, and remove scene without saving. Okay, now as you can see, it is our train, it is our mechanism. However, it is very bigger than our train. Okay, we don't need to have this environment with them in directional light and ground, so we remove them. Right, and in here we have two event system. I want to remove this one. And in the UI, in the canvas, as you can see, we have camera switch platform, and for here, right, we can say we don't need it. Okay, now the final step is the orthographic camera. We don't need it, so we check off the camera for. Okay, now once I play the game and launch the simulator, it is my own scene, but it is not in the multiplayer side, because multiplayer try to instantiate on itself characters. We can find out. Oh, we have an error here. Oh, I see. Yeah, the camera switch must be on, but we can set the scale equals 0. So once again, what is the issue? In the UI, we have to find out the reason of this problem. Right, now we have our character. Okay, and so we need to keep the camera switch but with the scale 000, and also the orthographic camera, but the depth or layer of it will be -1, because our own camera layer or depth is 0. As you can see, the overall cam, oh, it must be 0, and UGV cameras, cam 1, cam 2, it will be 0, right? And the UGV body, mechanic arm, here we had something for camera. It is in here. The depth of it is 0. Right, okay. Now we need to know something about the multiplayer. In the pawn object, we have the controller and management system of multiplayer. For example, in here we have connect and join random. This for the connection settings. For example, in here the maximum players is 4. We can change it to 20. But if you want to have more than 20, it's not possible in free account. You need to register in Photon and try to buy the pro version of Photon to be able to see the more than 20 CCUs at the same time. And also in here you have a character instantiation. You have 4 prefabs for each characters. In here, for example, it is first character, it is second, third, and fourth. We can replace our UGV with instead of each of them. For example, this one, Zombunny. We don't need to have these lights and this mesh, but we need to have our animator and also photon view, photon transform view, and the other photon voice system. But we have to change some things in the photon transform and photon characters to be able to match with our movement system. Right, okay, now I want to drag and drop my prefab in here, Zombunny, and set the position of it with the UGV, right, and set it here. Okay, all right, now I put it once again out of UGV. Now we can drag and drop the UGV as a child of Zombunny, and for now I hide it. For example, we don't need to have this mesh, so I put the scale of it equals 0, and we don't need to have point light as well. Oh no. Oh, we can do something like this. Check back to 111. Right, and in here we can say the sound of the character can be, the voice can be 2D to be able to hear our sounds from every distance. Okay, and our UGV in here. All right, now it is ready to use. But I'm sure we will have a problem because our UGV's parameters are internal. For example, overall cam and also the other characters. or maybe the objects in here. For example, what was the object? Pickup object in here. Maybe try to find out our UGV, but it must be automatic. Let's test it in the real condition, and we will see what will be the error of our mechanism, and we can fix it together. Right, now I want to replace this zone bunny on this one and remove, and come back to the pawn, and I want to remove this one and this one and this one. Only keep the zombie with our UGV. Okay, now it's time to test. Oh, it works well, but some errors in here in UGV movement and also the weather system. Okay, but initially we have to change the spawn point. As you can see, it has been instantiated on the air because the spawn point, or the first position of the start hours scene, was here on the air. It's not ground. The skybox is green, but in fact here is our train. So the spawn point must be in the first place of our scene. Where is it exactly? Start point. Right. I put the spawn point the position of start point. Okay. Now once again put it in here. Now spawn point in here. Right. Why it is something like this? Let's just see what is the problem. Initially, we have a problem in the overall cam because it says it cannot find it. So we will say overall cam equal game object dot find, exactly like here, but the name of it is overall cam. But remember, as I mentioned before, we have to enable this one because at the first moment, if it is disabled, game object dot find cannot find it, so it must be enabled. But we can keep the layer. No, its steps is equal 0. Okay, the name of it equal overall cam. My God. And overall cam dot game object. What is the issue? Oh no, we can check something like this. Dot get component camera. Now it is perfect. Another problem in here was about the weather. As far as I remember, yes. It couldn't find the rain prefab. Let's see in the test again. Control S for saving and go ahead. Okay. What is the issue of rain prefab? Oh, it cannot find the rain prefab in here because the rain prefab is the child of our UGV. The rain prefab is child of our UGV, so it cannot find it. And also the other problem for the memory, for the movement. Let's see. Alright. Why it cannot move perfectly? Oh, I see. The movement of UGV conflicted with the movement of the default avatar of Photon network. So we have to disable the initially the movement system of avatar. In here we have Photon view. It is for streaming and sharing the data between our character and network, and other characters can achieve my data and see my character movements or rotation on anything. So in here we don't need to have animation because our UGV doesn't have any animation, so we'll check that out and remove it. Only keep the transform because we need to share the movement of it, and also it is for Photon animator view. We don't need it. And in here we have orthographic controller. We don't need it as well because our UGV already has the auto movement system. Sorry, the movement system. But our UGV must be aligned with our character. So we need to add a variable to here to call which object wants to move. So in here we disable the orthographic controller. Okay. And go to the UGV movement, and in here we can say public game object UGV photon, or I don't know, UGV parent, something, any name you want. And in here we will say which character wants to move. In here we can we called it transform, but it is for itself. But I want to change okay. I think we are good. Now only thing is we need to click on UGV, and in here we will add Zombani as a UGV parent. Right, and drag and drop again to save our prefab with the new information. Look at this, Zombani in here. Perfect. Once again we test it. Perfect. It has another problem. It is about the UGV and avatar capsule collider. We don't need to have collider for here because our UGV already has collider. So once again, perfect. But we have a problem in the list of targets as well, because it's try to find out the targets in here. Right, we have to find the targets in the auto movement. In here we will say target equals 0 dot game object equal game object dot find target 0. Oh no, and we can transfer. Right, it is okay. And it is the same for 1 and 2. 1 and 2. After that, we will say target game object dot selective false. After you find them, try to hide them, because in the first moment we don't need to see them. Right. Okay. Now once again, now our UGV has a problem in here again. In the auto movement, oh, it couldn't find. Why? It couldn't find. Amazing. We click on this one and UGV and auto movement. The target 0, target 1, and target 2. Okay, let's make a scene manager. Another solution. Scene manager, right? And in here, in the scripts, we will say scene manager. We already have. Oh, yes, right. The name of it is scene management. Scene management. Okay, in here we will add all variables. Public transform in the auto movement targets. So we will add these variables manually. Then only thing is we have to find out the scene manager. So we will say in the auto movement, we'll say public game object, scene management. Right. And the name of the component in here. So in here we will say, yeah, we don't need this one, scene management equal game object dot find only one time, and scene management dot get component scene manager in here. Right. Okay. So the transform 0, the target 0 will be the scene management dot transform. Sorry. Target 0. It will be without any mistake and more optimized than this solution, because we will call the scene manager and GameObject.find only one time, because GameObject.find is an expensive function for the CPU, so it's better to call it one time or don't call it at all. So in the UGV movement, we can do it the same. For example, UGV here, and yeah, start point and overall cam. Right, and overall cam. Okay. In fact, we will store our static variables in here. So in the other scripts, we will find only this object and align with the variables of this script. So we will say exactly like here. We'll say, okay, my friend, try to find the scene management. Then after that, scene management dot start point, and after scene management dot overall camera. So we don't need to hide them or show them or blah 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 blah. We only need to find out one time the scene management. Okay. It will be useful for weather as well. Okay, only thing is we have to add no, sorry, we already have the scene manager. Okay, scene management in here, and target 0, target 1, and target 2, and the start point and overall cam. Okay, and overall cam can be off as well. The name of the scene management but must be exactly the same with this object. Okay, now we can hide them as well. Right, we click on our UGV. Oh my god, our auto movement it is still off. For this case, it is the same like that. Auto movement. So in here, press F. F3. I think something is gone here. Press F3.com. Oh, it cannot find out the variables of slider title, distance tags, and other things. We have to find them as well. So initially we have to put it here, and also it is the same for here as well. For the titles, we can call them here. Then in the auto movement, we will say, okay, equal the scene manager dot speed volume. We have a speed volume dot UI. Okay, we have a speed volume in here and speed volume in here as well. Once again, slider title. Oh my god. Right. And distance text, sorry. Okay. Now come back to the scene, and in the scene management, we have to go out to our UI canvas, speed volume here, distance text here, and slider title. Right. Let's do tests. Oh, it is very complicated clip, but very important clip in the multiplayer. Once again we have a problem. Our target is here and F3, F1. What was the F3, F1 in the UGV movement? In the UGV movement, press F3, press F1. We can call from here as well. In the scene management. Thank you, scene management. It is very useful for our scene. Right. And it is for F1 and F1. Okay, and in the canvas, let's see what was the F1, F3 in our standard scene. And UGV. Oh, text trigger 1 and text trigger 2. Right. Come back to our scene and scene management. text trigger 1 and text trigger 2. Okay. And now once again we want to test. Right. Once again we have a error. What is the issue? Let's call this function target counter. It says set destination can only communicate the object. What is the issue exactly in here? Okay. We have a problem in our NavMesh agent. We have to figure it out together. So, maybe our train has a problem. I think we have to bake our train again. Okay, now it has been fixed. Now we can come back to the scene, plate. Okay, and press F3. It works. Perfect. Another part in our UGV is because at the same time we instantiate several UGVs, and we have to say only my UGV needs to move, not other UGVs by my inputs. For example, it is, for better understanding, it is my UGV. Okay, and it is the UGV of the user 1 and it is the UGV of user 2. In the UGV movement, we said, okay, we press W, go forward. So these UGVs will do exactly the my order because they are in my scene as well. So the script of them will work for my user as well. So we need to add an order to our UGV movement to say only my UGV needs to move. How we can understand? In the Photon view, we have a variable. It's called is mine. So we will say if our UGV's Photon view is mine equal true, so this object UGV is mine, so it go forward or any other actions only need to work for my UGV or not for other users UGV. So in here we need to come back to the UGV movement, and in here we call using photon.pond. Okay, and in here we will say public photon view. No, sorry, excuse me. Photon view. Okay, say photon view as well in here. Right. In here we will have an if for all actions, the whole void update, and we will say photon view dot is mine equal true. And if this one photon view dot is mine equal false, try to hide and disable the cameras for so we will not have any confliction in the cameras as well between our camera and other users' camera. Cam 1, cam 2 here, and nose cam in here. Right, now let's back to the scene. I want to remove it and go to our prefab. In here, UGV, we have a new variable. It's called photon view. Drag and drop our photon view here. Right. And it has been saved. Okay. For the final test, we'll test it in the single player. After that, we will export another exe and test it in multiplayer. Perfect. Let's export an exe from the level 3 multiplayer inside of our folder. After that, we will test it together. Okay. I'm so excited to test it between an exe and my editor. Right. Okay, it is my dear UGV. I put it here to be visible once I play my scene in here in the editor. Perfect. As you can see, we don't have any confliction between the movement. Beautiful. Perfect. All right. In the next step, we will work on the sharing the rotation and other important variables between two users. As you can see, our mechanic arms are rotating simultaneously, and it needs to be fixed in the next clip because only my UGV needs to rotate, not other users. Perfect. Let's go to the next step.